Okay, the last two problems. It's taking a long time, I'm sorry. So I moved the 5 to the other side. Now you have a negative and a negative. So if you just go ahead and divide by -1 in your head, maybe. All right, so you're going to end up with x plus 2. Now, oh, well, if you did divide by a negative, you got to flip your inequality. And then you got to go and make that a positive. So remember that rule about flipping your inequality. All right, so now let's go and square both sides, and we get x plus 2 is less than or equal to 25. When you subtract 2 from both sides, x is less than or equal to 23. All right, so x is less than or equal to 23. That takes care of the solution. Let's go and figure out what the domain is going to be. So if we go, really, the only thing is x plus 2 has to be greater than or equal to 0. Because otherwise it's going to be imaginary. So x is going to be greater than or equal to -2. All right, so we got that taken care of. Let's go ahead and set up a number line. So I turned this into an inequality. It was original an equal sign, but we needed inequalities. So let's go and here's a -2. Here's 23. Pick some numbers in between and on the outside. Our favorite number 0. I'm going to put maybe a 10 in here. And then 25 looks good. Okay. So let's go start plugging them in and see if they work. So 5 minus, now really, no, I don't want to do that. So 5 minus the square root of 0 plus 2, is that greater than or equal to 0? This is kind of easy to do when one side is equal to 0, because then you don't have to worry about, is it equal to that? So anyway, 5 minus the square root of 2, is that equal? Yes, it is. Okay. So now let's go and plug in a 10. I think that's still greater than or equal to 0, right? Because the square root of 8 is just 2 point something. So that's going to work. All right, and then let's check something bigger than 23. So plug in a 25. 5 minus the square root of 25 plus 2. 5 minus square root of 27. All right, square root of 27 is bigger than 5. So you're doing 5 minus 5 point something. That's going to give you a negative number, okay? So if you're not sure, use a calculator, but I can promise you that's going to be a negative number, and that is definitely not greater than 0, so that's not going to work. So your only solution is going to be the x is less than or equal to 23. Okay, x is less than or equal to 23. Since you've got x has to be greater than or equal to 2, though, but wait a minute. Oh, did that work or not? -2, 0. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. 0's on the wrong side. It is really late. It is 5 o'clock on Friday night. Let's pick a different number. I am so sorry. You're probably sitting here laughing at me. Put a -4 in there. I am not going back and rewinding that either and starting over. So we're going to go plug that in. So we're going to do 5 minus, look at that, see what happens? This is going to be a negative. Okay, so we can't have a negative under a radical, so that's not going to work. I knew something was looking weird. All right, so our answer really is just that. But if you want to write it as a one compound inequality, so you're going to do -2 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 23. That works. I am so sorry for that. All right, let's hope I can get through the next one, okay? It's really getting late. In fact, it's dark outside and I'm still at school. All right, so let me erase all this and then we'll clean this up and then we'll play around with it. Hold on. Okay, so this is the most complicated of all of them. This is the kind where you have to square both sides from the beginning, and that's going to involve FOIL. So we might as well just go on and do it. So we've got 3 plus square root of x plus 8, and 3 plus square root of x plus 8, And then this side on the right is easy. It's just x plus 35. Okay, so now we go and FOIL. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times that is really just 3 times that. And I'm doing every step, okay, but really you could have just made this a 6. But we're just going to do all the steps right now. And then this is really just the square root of x times x plus 8 all squared. So that's going to give you x plus 8. And then we're going to just bring on over the third x plus 35. So I'm going to go and combine some like terms. I've got a 9 and an 8 here that can go together. So we'll call that 17. I've got these two guys can go together. So we'll call that 6. Square root of x plus 8 plus x is equal to x plus 35. If you have anything on the same side, on either side that's exactly the same, cross them out because they're just going to cancel out anyway. So cross out the x, cross out the x. Now I'm going to move this 17 to the other side. And I've got 6 times the square root of x plus 8 is equal to 18. I better check my math. It has been a long day. But I think I'm right. I'm going to take a chance. All right, so now I know how you guys feel when you come home from a sporting event and then you have to do your homework. All right, so now you can square both sides, but I'm going to divide both sides by 6 just to get that big number out of there. So I've got the square root of x plus 8 is equal to 3. So now you square both sides again, but this is so much easier. Why do I keep putting a 3 there? Because it's fun. All right, so x plus 8 is equal to 9. All right, so now it's looking like x is going to be equal to 1. All right, let's go all the way back. And we're just going to make a note that x is equal to 1. Okay, and we're going to go and make sure that everything else is okay. We're going to go check our domains of all these other little guys. So let's go make sure that, well, you know, you really don't have to because it's an inequality. It's not an inequality, it's an equation. So as long as you don't have a -1 under here that's going to make this be 0, it's all good, okay? Just make sure that this all works out. So let's try it. 3 plus square root of 1 plus 8 is equal to the square root of 1 plus 35. So I've got 3 plus the square root, I'm doing every step, is equal to the square root of 36. This is 3 plus 3. Does that equal 6? Yes, it does. There you go. There's your answer. So it looks hard. It's just time consuming. All right, so go over these. I would recommend doing them twice before you take your test, kind of like a dress rehearsal. If you are in a play, you don't just do your lines one time before you perform